Marvel Ultimate Big Brother, My Life as Spider-Man's Secret Weapon, Episode 61. Later things developed as Fang Bing remembered. Loki manipulates the Destroyer to attack Thor directly, wanted to kill him, and the 4 warriors of the Immortal Palace, headed by Sif. Thor, the god of thunder who was sealed in order to protect his abilities, take the initiative to take on the Destroyer, but because the difference in strength is too far, it was quickly defeated. All were injured, almost killed on the spot by the Destroyer, just when Loki controls the Destroyer to make up for it. When killing these Immortal Palace warriors who disobeyed him, Thor, the god of thunder, took the initiative to stand up and taunt, attracted Loki's hatred. At this point, Fang Bing knew that his opportunity had come. He asked Sky to stand where he was, waiting, swipe open a portal with one hand, directly came to a fairy palace warrior. Respected Asgard warriors, I can heal your wounds. The severely injured Immortal Palace warrior looked at the portal in front of him. Take it with a pinch of salt. It's a little confusing about the number of Fang Bing's paths, but looking ahead, Thor was about to be killed by the Destroyer. Only seize the opportunity in front of you. Nodded. Signal that Fang Bing can start treatment. But Fang Bing took the risk to step forward, but he didn't just heal his injuries. Take out a pill box from your arms. It contains some round pills. Take out one. Hand it to this Immortal Palace warrior. Eat it first. This is a healing medicine that accompanies the treatment. The warriors of the fairy palace smelled the medicine quite fragrantly. There is no doubt. Swallowed it in one gulp. Fang Bing saw him so well behaved. Healing powers were also launched against his wounds. Oh. Forehead. Not. A strong stimulus comes from the wound. This made the Immortal Palace warrior's face suddenly turn red. The next moment you can't think of anything else. Reached out and pressed it down. Okay. Fang Bing released his healing energy with all his strength this time. The wounds healed quickly and completely. At the end of the treatment, the soul-destroying stimulation disappears. Fang Bing didn't wait for the red-faced Immortal Palace warrior to speak. He opened the portal directly and left him. The next moment, the portal was in front of another injured Immortal Palace warrior. I followed the process again. Soon, Fang Bing completed feeding the 3 Immortal Palace warriors, but in the end it encountered obstacles in the goddess of war of Sif. What do you want to do? I can see their expressions just now. You definitely have a problem. Sif is indeed a goddess. The top and bottom are bumpy. The appearance is delicate and beautiful. They all look tall when sitting on the ground, and their legs are long and straight. Wearing black silk is absolutely superb. But Fang Bing didn't have time to admire her beauty now, because the goddess Sif is very uncooperative. She was obviously the most seriously injured. Just now, he was sent flying because he jumped on the body of the Destroyer, but she saw it. The lewd appearance of the 3 male Immortal Palace warriors who were treated by Fang Bing just now. That's why Fang Bing is full of precautions. I just want to heal your wounds. How can you think so much of me? Alas, since that's the case, then I can only. Sif heard Fang Bing's words, thought he was leaving. In my heart, I suddenly began to wonder if I had wronged a good person. After all, her other 3 companions had been healed, but she hasn't apologized. Fang Bing's next sentence completely made her realize that something was wrong. In that case, for your own good, I can only forcibly treat you. Fang Bing finished with a serious face. He pinched her pretty face. The other hand took out a pill, broke her mouth open, stuffed the pill in, but Sif had the pill in her hand. I just wouldn't swallow it. I advise you to swallow it, otherwise for your own good, I can only poke it down. What do you think I will use to poke? He threatened with a wicked smile. Boom. Fang Bing's voice just fell. Sif quickly swallowed the pill. After all, the threat of this man on the other side. It's scary from any point of view. Fang Bing saw that she was obedient. He also released healing energy as usual and began to treat Sif. Well, face a sudden feeling of intense special stimulation, although lived for thousands of years. But she had never experienced that feeling before. After the goddess Sif exclaimed, she forcibly held back. She trembled. The tears were almost gone. As for other places, there is no flow, because the armor she wore was too tight. Fang Bing couldn't see it either. After healing goddess Sif's wounds, couldn't care about her strange resentful eyes. Directly opened a portal and left, because his task today has been completed. The goal has been fully achieved. He has extracted all the skill lists of the 4 Immortal Palace warriors. At this time, in the royal palace of Asgard, Odin lay in bed observing Thor on Earth, but he did not enter any Odin sleep as the outside world thought. Asgard includes everything that happens on Earth. It's all from him. The purpose of everything is to make his biological son Thor grow up as soon as possible, become the king of Asgard as soon as possible, because Odin has realized that his life expectancy is approaching. He has lived too long. He himself can't count how many years he lived. The Asgardians had a long lifespan, but that doesn't mean eternal life. This time after the death of the body, he will have only souls left. Although still strong, it can still exist in this universe, but it can no longer resist the formidable enemies of yesteryear. After those strong enemies heard that he was dead, will definitely come to Asgard for revenge. If that happens, he dares to appear in a soul state. That would surely be annihilated. The only way is as soon as possible before the body dies. Raise his son Thor, become the new lord of the gods. become the new patron saint of Asgard. That's why he took the opportunity to lay down this test. And right now, his test was uncertain. He discovered this variable as early as yesterday. That's when he heard this variable in front of the Earth's mortals. Broke Thor's identity. This variable is also seen delivering food to Thor. It's just that Odin didn't care at that time. Just a little curious. But to this day, this variable healed Thor's 4 friends. It affected his plans. Originally, Odin's script was, the destroyer wounds Thor's friend, forcing him to fight without ability, shoulder the responsibilities that belong to the king, thus allowing Thor to awaken a trace of Thor's power, achieve the purpose of tempering him. But now those few immortal palace warriors who were injured by the destroyer have been cured again. So how else does Thor back the water? If it weren't for seeing this person who healed the wounds of the immortal palace warriors, Karmataj's portal was used. Odin has now let the destroyer strike. Accidentally, this variable was solved. When Odin sees Fang Bing using the portal, the first reaction was that this was a disciple of Gui, because of this teleportation spell. As far as he knows, only Karmataj has a legacy. Since he is a disciple of Gui, then Odin can understand why this person knew Thor's true identity before. After all, Gui was a supreme mage. It also has time gems that predict the future. It is not surprising that his disciples learned of their son's identity. Face the Ancient One. Odin is not vain though, but I don't want to mess with it at all. So for Fang Bing, he had no intention of sabotaging his plan. It's also not good to punish. Only ideas can make up for it. So, the form on the battlefield suddenly changed. Originally hunted down Thor's destroyer, he turned his head and ran towards the 4 warriors of the Immortal Palace who had recovered from their injuries. 3 down 5, divided by 2. Sif and the others fell to the ground again. The injury was even worse than just now. The destroyer completes it all. Only then did he step forward again to attack Thor. Continue with what you just left undone. Loki in the Immortal Palace originally controlled the destroyer, or rather, he thought he was manipulating the destroyer, but until this moment, it is discovered that the destroyer turns his head and attacks others without his will. It was as if he realized something, but he did not dare to turn his head to look at Odin lying on the bed. As if nothing had happened, continued to control the destroyer to kill Thor. After Fang Bing left the battlefield in the town, there was no further attention paid to how the subsequent battles developed. I didn't know that I was covered by an ancient big man and escaped. All he cares about now is the abilities he has just acquired. Asgardians. Sif, Asgardian Divine Body. Special, as an Asgardian, she has a long life, strong resilience and defense, and the older she gets, the stronger she is. Super Melee Combat LV9, she has honed her super melee fighting skills in her long fighting career. Super Physique LV6, as an Asgardian, she has a physique that is far 6 times that of ordinary people. Divine Power LV2, as one of the goddess of war of Asgard, she is born with divine power, and has twice the strength of the elite warriors of Asgard. Super Reaction LV5, as the goddess of war of Asgard, she honed her strong reaction ability in the battlefield. After Fang Bing checked the list of abilities of the 4 Asgardians, it was found that their special abilities were basically the same. Among them, Sif has the strongest fighting ability. The other 3 were worse, but also all beyond the level of elite Asgard warriors. Otherwise, it would be impossible to be friends with Thor, the son of Odin, in the 9 realms. After reading it, Old Rules, Fang Bing began to make a wish to the ancient big guy, because he has been experimented with many times. Discovery is still the most spiritual of the ancient big guy. Extract. Episode 62. Congratulations on getting 1000 cups of non-drunk LV2. Congratulations on obtaining Divine Power LV2. Congratulations on getting Super Physique LV6. Congratulations on getting Asgard Tap Dance LV8. Draw 4 times in a row. Fang Bing felt that with the blessing of the ancient big guy, his luck was not bad. Unexpectedly, 2 combat abilities were drawn. It is just right to integrate and upgrade with the abilities you already have. After the upgrade, Fang Bing now has it. Divine Power LV6, your strength is unmatched, exceeding the elite warriors of Asgard by 6 times. Super Physique LV8, your physique has strong defensive resilience and has reached the level of the Asgardian royal family. After fusion, originally, the Divine Power LV5 that Fang Bing possessed was already about to break through. Now it has become Divine Power LV6. Fang Bing felt that his current pure strength should already be able to blast the normal Hulk. Of course, the premise is that you don't fight too long. Otherwise, Fang Bing didn't have the greenskin transformation ability that became stronger and stronger the angrier. Super Physique stuck in LV7 for a long time. Now he has obtained Sif's Super Physique, and has also broken through to the 8th level. Reached the level of Thor, the god of thunder, not being sealed. Only a little worse than Abomination and the Hulk. This degree of physique, plus Fang Bing's own healing powers, he felt that his life was already greatly secured. Human weapons on Earth. It is already unlikely that he will be hurt. Wait for Fang Bing to finishing the ability. When looking at the battlefield in the town, the battle is over. The destroyer beats Thor, the god of thunder, to the point of serious injury and dying, fell to the ground unconscious. There was a moment of silence, whether it's S.H.I.E.L.D. agents watching from afar, or a few friends that Thor had just met on Earth, even including the 4 warriors of Immortal Palace, all already thought he was dead. But how could Odin let him die? After a silent tear of men and women, Thor descends, leap into the air, awaken a trace of Thor's power, also lift the seal that Odin has placed on him. Mjolnir flew back into his hand a few miles away. I simply stunned this group of ordinary people on Earth. All that's left is a simple and neat battle ending. Thor, who got the hammer, only used a few blows. He easily took out Odin's armor, the father of the gods. The corner of Fang Bing's mouth twitched. I was a little skeptical that this magic Gundam was an imitation. The battle is completely over. The people of S.H.I.E.L.D. began to communicate with Thor and other Asgardians. Fang Bing originally wanted to leave here. After all, there is nothing to do with you here. But he was stopped by Thor, the god of thunder. Haha. Brother, I remember you. You are the one who brought me food. Thor came up and grabbed Fang Bing's arm and shouted familiarly. Then he pestered Fang Bing. He kept asking in his ear where the food came from. How was it made? Why didn't he and his Earth friends eat such delicious things in other restaurants? Until Fang Bing couldn't help but ask, what the hell are you looking for me for? Thor just hit it big. Legs remembered business. I heard that you treated Sif during the battle just now, and now they are seriously injured. Can you please go and treat them again? Fang Bing then understood why Thor found him, but he soon wondered again. Is this a little different from what he remembers? How could it hurt again? Could it be that after they were cured, they went to the destroyer to harden it? Fang Bing did not see the battle situation at that time, so I was just curious. He acceded to Thor's request. After all, it doesn't cost you to use healing powers yourself. Can easily exchange the favor of Thor, the god of thunder and Asgard. It's a good deal. To know, there are countless Asgardian people in the Asgardian god domain. If you can go to Asgard in the future, give them a group feeding. I don't worry about improving my strength. Follow Thor to the seriously injured 4 warriors of the Immortal Palace. Start treating them. The 3 male Immortal Palace warriors were all embarrassed when they saw Fang Bing. Before Fang Bing treatment, it's already gritting his teeth. Push yourself not to show abnormalities, but the side effects of Fang Bing's treatment of abnormal energy. But it is not something that can be ignored by will alone. That's the deepest longing that comes from the body, a tremor from the soul. So although they bit their lips this time and did not call out, but the look on the face, the body's reaction still betrayed them. This directly leads to Thor, the god of thunder, and the surrounding Iron Man, Natasha, and others. He began to look at Fang Bing with strange eyes. They didn't feel that this was a problem for several Immortal Palace warriors. The ghosts all saw it. How unorthodox is the healing ability of this magician Fang Bing in front of him. Fang Bing was familiar with their gazes. After treating 3 male Fairy Palace warriors, then he came to the Sif goddess of war, who had been lowering her head and did not dare to look at Fang Bing. I don't cure. I myself will slowly recover. Yu Guang saw Fang Bing walking towards her. Sif quickly turned her head and waved her hand to refuse. Since Fang Bing treated her before, she knew that Fang Bing was indeed kind enough to help her treat. Although a little tough on her when it comes to her, but it was really for her good. But she really didn't want to try that taste again, especially in front of so many people. It's like being Fang Bing XX in broad daylight. But Fang Bing didn't care about her so much in her drama. Already strongly healed once, why not do it again? Anyway, after the treatment, you still have to accept my favor. Reach out directly. He began to treat Sif. Really? The goddess of war is a woman who says no on her lips and has a very honest body. His face turned red again, red dripping. Half an hour later, a grudgeful Sif and Asgard left Earth in the teleportation of the Rainbow Bridge. The people of S.H.I.E.L.D. left behind to watch this miracle, although defeated the destroyer. But Thor and the others still need to return to Asgard to thwart Loki's plot to usurp the throne. Asgard. Loki is seeing Thor, who has fallen to the ground and is dead, after suddenly resurrecting and lifting the body seal. I already understand it. He gave up manipulating the destroyer. Walk quickly to Odin's bed. Why? Is all this just because I am not your own bloodline? But I've always considered you a real father. If you think it's a shame to have a son with the bloodline of an ice giant, unworthy of inheriting your throne, why not kill me? Kill me now, Loki shouted hysterically at the unconscious Odin on the bed. His heart was already dead. Feel that your life is just a joke and a conspiracy. Loki knew that Odin was pretending at this time, but he was also no longer afraid of what Odin would do to him. He just wanted this father of the gods who raised him to give him an answer, but Odin still didn't move in the slightest. It was as if he had really fallen into Odin's sleep. Loki, who couldn't wait for an answer, became more and more insane. Since you dislike my bloodline, then I will prove to you that I am your true son. I am the king who is qualified to lead Asgard to power. Loki roared. Hurry out of the palace, directly to the Rainbow Bridge. He wants to destroy Jotunheim, destroy the planet that gave him bloodline, kill all the frost giants to prove to his father Odin. He, Loki, is the future king of Asgard, is Odin's son of glory. But he couldn't escape Odin's grasp after all. When Thor and the others returned to Asgard, discovered that Loki began using the Rainbow Bridge to focus energy to destroy Jotunheim. Thor, who has awakened the responsibility of king. How could Loki be allowed to directly destroy the people of a planet? After some fighting, Thor, in order to stop Loki, blew up the Rainbow Bridge, fell off the bridge with Loki, but at the last minute, he was grabbed by Odin's hand. Thor was rescued, also saved the planet of the frost giant, but Loki, after seeing Odin appear, but he voluntarily let go of his hand. Choose to fall into the abyss of the universe. Fang Bing, after Thor and the others left, also left New Mexico with Sky. Under Sky's strong recommendation, they didn't go through the portal. Instead, he drove the Kuan-type fighter back home. A few days ago, Fang Bing had already looked for people from S.H.I.E.L.D., helped him strengthen the roof of the villa. Kuan fighters can be parked directly. Invisible Kuan, of course. Otherwise, it will appear in the media tabloids all over New York the next day. After returning home, Fang Bing and Sky rested for 2 days. I started preparing to enroll in Columbia University, because the holidays are over. School has started. As for how Sky can get into Columbia University together, also assigned to the same major as Fang Bing, that's not hard at all. Because Columbia University is a private university, this means that it accepts donations from donations. And money is such a thing. For square ice, that can turn stones into gold. It's as ubiquitous as dirt on earth. But just when Fang Bing and Sky had not experienced college campus life for a few days, an unexpected man came to the door. This man has no eyes, but it came and went without a trace. While Sky was home alone, came directly to her. Want to meet your birth mother? Episode 63. Sky saw the eyeless man suddenly appear in front of him. Taken aback, without waiting for him to say more, he held out a hand. Bang! A strong shockwave was emitted, shocked the eyeless man to the wall. She just wanted to keep shooting. Knock it unconscious. The eyeless man disappeared again. The reason why she shot. It's because it's her home. Eyeless people break in without permission. Fang Bing had told her, if someone trespasses into the home without permission, knock unconscious before talking about the rest. So even if she heard the words of the eyeless man when he first appeared, he only hesitated for half a second. Just shot. When the eyeless man reappears, already far from Sky, I was afraid that she would suddenly attack again. Sky, your name is Sky, right? Don't hit me anymore, I'm you. Mother sent it, she wants to see you, the eyeless man said after reappearing. Sky was stunned. The heart is very messy. The biological mother you have been looking for? She was silent for a moment. The first thing I thought about was to tell Fang Bing about this, because she felt that her brain was out of order. I don't know what to do. If you want to go with me, call my name and I'll come again. The eyeless man saw Sky standing in place silent. Don't dare to stay for long. It disappeared in place. Hunk. Hunk. Sky dialed her convenient cell phone. A minute later, Fang Bing walked out of the portal and returned home. He listened to Sky's description. Anger in the heart. Jiaying, Gordon the Eyeless, you guys are really looking for death. Fang Bing never told Sky about his background. It was because I was afraid that Sky would not be able to accept it after knowing the truth. He thought that even if he had to tell her, it would be at least a few years later, after Sky was a little older. But I didn't expect that Jiaying's people would find the door now. As for how they found the door, Fang Bing also guessed slightly. The eyeless man Gordon's ability is to teleport through space. He can also feel the Inhumans who have awakened their powers through the Terrigen mist. Whenever there is a new awakened alien in the world, Gordon the Eyeless will sneak in to teleport to the afterlife. And both himself and Sky have passed through the Terrigen mist before and have supernatural abilities. It must have also been detected by the eyeless man Gordon. And it's been a while since the two of them woke up. Gordon, after the discovery, it took so long to come to the door alone and want to take Sky. It shows that Jiaying has discovered Sky's identity, and you may also know a certain amount about yourself. That's why I hide from myself. Sky stepped forward and hugged Fang Bing. What should I do? Is what the eyeless man said true? My mom is looking for me? Fang Bing touched her head, sighed, knowing that she could no longer hide her background. So he slowly opened his mouth and told Sky about her mother Jiaying, lived for thousands of years. Every once in a while, it is necessary to suck the living to stay alive. Countless killings. Just want to conquer the world. She also experimented on her father, forcing her father to become a brutal psychopath. Sky cried. She didn't expect that her biological parents, who had been searching for more than 10 years, were such people. All the fantasies about family affection in the past have come to naught. Fang Bing hugged her tightly. Look at this poor girl in your arms. It's not good in my heart. Do you still want to see her? Fang Bing asked after waiting for Sky to stabilize his mood. Sky looked up. Looking at Fang Bing said firmly, I don't want to see them, and I won't look for them in the future. It's enough for me to have you. Fang Bing nodded warmly in his heart. Then let me solve this trouble for you. A few minutes later, Sky was alone. Start shouting out to Gordon the Eyeless. Soon Gordon appeared in front of her. Do you want to go with me? Gordon the Eyeless asked. Sky shook her head. Then what did you call me for? To let him see you. An orange-yellow portal instantly appeared beside Sky. Fang Bing walked out from inside the door. The reason why it is so troublesome didn't let Sky directly call out Gordon the Eyeless. It is because the eyeless Gordon can feel whether there are other people around the target when he teleports. He was wary of Fang Bing. If Fang Bing stayed by Sky's side all the time, he won't show up. So, when Gordon the Eyeless sees the portal appear, he teleported away with a bang. But it's too late, because he had already been seen by Fang Bing. No matter where he teleported, the next moment, a portal will appear next to you. Was caught up by Fang Bing. After hundreds of transmissions in a short time, Gordon the Eyeless man was already too tired to breathe. The Inhuman's powers are not like Fang Bing's teleportation spells. No consumption. Gordon the Eyeless man consumes very little teleportation power, but in a short period of time, the number of times, it is also a burden on the body and mind. He finally stopped. Fang Bing, I know you're a magician, what do you want? We have no ill will towards Sky and just want to take her to her mother. It has been a while since Gordon, the eyeless man with the ability to teleport, found Fang Bing and Sky. He had already discovered that Fang Bing was unusual through secret observation, so today he dared to appear while Fang Bing was not by Sky's side. I want you to take me to the afterlife and meet Jiaying. How do you know that Sky's mother is called Jiaying? Are you a Hydra person? Gordon the eyeless man gasped and asked in shock. Fang Bing did not answer. Instead, thunderbolt currents are emitted directly with both hands. Shoot towards Gordon, but before Gordon was hit, teleported again and fled. Fang Bing smiled slightly. No rush at all, because Gordon, no matter how he runs, none of them could escape the palm of his hand. It's also considered Gordon smart. I never dared to return directly to the afterlife, for fear of taking this terrible man behind him to the lair. But 2 hours later, after thousands of high-intensity teleportations, he was finally squeezed dry. Tired, he lay paralyzed in a mountain forest. Look at the orange-yellow portal that appears in front of you as always. Gordon the eyeless man was desperate in his heart. Not sure what comes next. Fang Bing stepped out of the portal. See Gordon on the ground. Directly gave him a string of electric shocks first. He trembled with electricity. Only the last breath remained. Take me to the afterlife. Fang Bing made this request again. What are you going to do? If you want to hurt Jiaying, then I will take you even if I die. Gordon the eyeless man is Jiaying's most loyal subordinate. It is the kind of person who knows that Jiaying sucks living people for immortality. A loyal dog who is still bowing down. Don't worry, I'm just talking to her about Sky, Fang Bing said to Gordon on the ground with a kind face. But Gordon was completely unconvinced. With all his strength, he teleported away again. Fang Bing followed again. Electric shock pressed, but Gordon still didn't speak. Since you can't find the afterlife, forget it. Fang Bing lost patience, knowing that he couldn't find Jiaying through the eyeless man Gordon. But killing the eyeless Gordon can also be regarded as breaking Jiaying's arm. Without the teleportation ability of the eyeless man Gordon, if Jiaying dares to appear in front of Sky again, then there is only a dead end. But before taking out Gordon, Fang Bing also needs to use it as waste. Step forward. A pinch pinched Gordon, who only had his last breath left, stuffed a lump of food into his mouth. Tap your chin with your hand. Boom. The eyeless Gordon swallowed it involuntarily. Fang Bing found, I am really becoming more and more proficient in the trick of forcible feeding. I like it more and more. He now wishes for some villains to bounce in front of him every day, then he won't have to look around. See one pinch, open your mouth and feed one. More hassle-free. Soon, the system obtains the list of abilities of the eyeless man Gordon. Gordon, quantum teleportation. He can shuttle through space through quantum entanglement, and every time he shuttles once, he will be reborn once. Quantum induction. Because of the frequent quantum teleportation, he can sense whether a creature exists alone, and can also feel the location of the explosion of abnormal energy. Super melee fighting LV3. His melee fighting skills are high. Eyeless, in order to feel quantum entanglement, he lost both eyes. Super hearing LV2. Because he has been blind since childhood, his hearing is sharper than ordinary people. The ability of Gordon the eyeless, in addition to the powers of the Inhumans, others are only slightly stronger than ordinary humans. It hardly makes a difference, but only with this one teleportation ability. It took Fang Bing a few hours to get him. This can also be regarded as the most difficult person Fang Bing has encountered at present. It was only when Fang Bing saw Gordon's teleportation ability. I don't envy him at all. The powers of the eyeless Gordon. Quantum entanglement teleportation. It's actually a very scary and sci-fi thing, because quantum entanglement only transmits consciousness, and not the body. Fang Bing carefully read the explanation of the system and found out. The so-called quantum entanglement transmits special energy. That's when Gordon teleports from point A to point B. At point B, first, copy a body identical to point A. The memory of point A Gordon is then put through quantum entanglement. Teleport into the newly copied body at point B. When Gordon's realized the new body of point B, the old body that was originally at point A will be destroyed. Of course, all this is done in an instant. Other words, Gordon teleports every time, will die once at point A. Every time someone teleported by Gordon will also die once at point A. Although the one that is teleported to point B is no different from the original that is eliminated at point A. This includes memory, the composition of the body, and other parts, including Gordon himself, thought that he had successfully teleported. In fact, he sent a living self to the target point at the cost of death. The person teleported by Gordon also paid the price of death as a plane ticket. It's just that they themselves don't know, because what is alive is just a copy. Fang Bing felt that this was too difficult to accept, both mentally and physically. Teleport once and change bodies once. That Gordon had just teleported 1,000 times. Didn't you also kill yourself 1,000 times? I don't know if he himself knows all this. Fang Bing looked at the eyeless Gordon on the ground with pity. Fix your mind. Extract. Episode 64. Congratulations on getting quantum sensing. Fang Bing felt that he had good luck recently. I have already begun to think about the next time when the ancient big guy comes. Is it necessary to get her more delicious rewards? Quantum sensing is the only ability that Fang Bing is interested in the eyeless Gordon. After solving Gordon, Fang Bing turned on the quantum sensing ability. Try it to work well. Sure enough, when he thought of Sky in his head, she sensed that there was no one else around her. Alone. This is simply a chugging artifact, right? If only people all over the world had this ability, then there is no such thing as a little 3 or a little 4. When the man says he went to wash his hair, Women can sense which hair the man washed. When a woman says she does her hair herself, a man can also know what facial cleanser she washes her face with after doing her hair. Perfect. But now to Fang Bing. The most practical aspect of this ability is another point. You can feel the direction of the burst of power, though. He didn't get the accompanying quantum teleportation. It is impossible to teleport past like an eyeless person. And if the location of the burst is a strange place, nor can I feel the burst of power, immediately open the door and teleport over. But as long as the bearings are known, he can also fly quickly in a Kuan-type fighter. This means that he can find other people with special abilities more easily. It is even possible to find the afterlife and find Jiaying through this ability. In the afterlife, there are many aliens with various abilities. Fang Bing had been pressing Gordon before. I want Gordon to take him to the afterlife. In fact, he didn't want to rush in directly to kill Jiaying. How to say that Jiaying is also Sky's own mother, and she just wanted to meet Sky now. Haven't done anything excessive to Sky yet. Kill her directly now. It's also not quite suitable. Fang Bing just wanted to find the afterlife. Solemnly warned Jiaying. He believed that the woman who had survived for at least hundreds of years would be very aware of current affairs when she saw her. If there are aliens who do not have long eyes, force feed a few more. Of course, at all costs. Gordon the eyeless man is definitely going to die. His powers were also a hidden danger for Fang Bing. The gods didn't say anything. I also thought about taking my own woman. Killing Fang Bing has no psychological burden at all. After solving Gordon, because the location of the afterlife cannot be found, Fang Bing could only return to Sky first. Sky saw him return. Nothing was asked, because she believed that Fang Bing would help her deal with everything. It's just that Fang Bing is more attached. When Fang Bing and Sky officially began their leisurely college campus life, something has happened in the depths of the universe that is about to affect all of humanity. Loki voluntarily let go and chose to fall off the Rainbow Bridge, fall into the abyss of the universe. His heart is like ashes. I thought I was dead, because even with his ice giant physique, nor can it survive in the cosmic vacuum for long, so he closed his eyes. Let yourself wander in the depths of the boundless universe, until he was about to die. A huge spaceship came to him. After a beam of light, he was ingested into a spacecraft, appeared in front of a purple-skinned giant. Thanos. Loki recognized at a glance who the giant in front of him was. Titan Destroyer. Mutants of the Eternals. The famous executioner in the universe. Even more terrifying, he is also a warlord with a powerful cosmic fleet. Since destroying his home planet Titan, his bloody path of conquest began. Every civilization conquered, it will kill half the life of the entire civilization. To achieve what he calls natural harmony, the cosmic people are called Thanos. Loki, who was originally still dead. At the moment of seeing Thanos, I knew my chance was coming. If you can win the support of Thanos, then he will be able to prove himself to Odin. Loki, son of Odin, god of trickery, why did you fall into the cosmic abyss? So a conversation about the conspiracy began. Ultimately, Loki gained the power he wanted. A fleet of Charitas, a scepter encrusted with the heart gem, one of the 6 gems of the universe. He will carry these gifts from Thanos, travel to Earth again, take the space gem for Thanos, and conquer the planet. Fang Bing and Sky have a very comfortable life at Columbia University. They don't expect to get a good job after graduating from college anyway. It's just a way to experience life. And what surprised Fang Bing was, he also met an acquaintance at Columbia University, Daredevil, Matthew Merctor. This blind vigilante actually skipped the grade ahead of schedule and passed the exam. He was admitted directly to the law department of Columbia University. Fang Bing could only sigh at this. Awesome. Even if a genius is blind, he is still a genius. Calm days are always short. One night, Fang Bing and Sky were lying on the sofa at home watching TV. The Ancient One mage appeared in front of them again. See the Ancient One. Fang Bing was no longer surprised. The first thing they said when they met was about her food. Finished eating again? I'll make some for you later. Without waiting for Gui to speak, Fang Bing very consciously summoned the food maker and began to make snacks for her. Gui wanted to speak, but looked at Fang Bing's movements. It stopped again. Just wait like that. Until Fang Bing made a whole bunch of snacks in front of her. She just spoke. I came to you today for other things, but since you have the heart, the ice does not wait for a response. I waved away all the snacks. Fang Bing was surprised. I couldn't think of anything else that Gui could do to find him, between himself and her, in addition to the relationship between cook and diner. It seems that there is nothing else. Don't? Could it be that she heard her prayers before each draw? Then it would really be dead. Just when Fang Bing was thinking about it, Furuchi suddenly asked, how did you learn the Karmatage spell? Fang Bing knew what Gui came to the door for. He had long expected today's out. After all, he used Gui's portal spell to run around the world. How could he hide it from Gui, the supreme mage? He had already figured out how to respond. It's impossible to be honest. If you let Gui know, eating self-made food will be extracted from the ability to replicate. Then I guess I won't be able to be like this in the future. Waiting for Gui to come to the door and take the initiative to ask for feeding. If it reaches the outside world, it will be even more troublesome. I'm afraid later, even if your food is fragrant, those with special abilities will also choose to pinch their noses and not eat. Unless you meet yourself, everyone pinches their mouths and stabs them down. Fang Bing felt. Probably no one likes their hard-earned abilities secretly copied. In my last life, well, in the last world, I accidentally got an ancient book, and I learned meditation from it, and I thought about it myself when I saw you cast the portal before, and I actually learned it. Well, that's right, that's it. Fang Bing said with a serious face. He felt disguised as a magic genius is a great idea. As for how to get into spells, take the events of the previous life and make it up. Even if Gui had time, it was impossible for the gem to know whether it was true or not. Gui's face was calm. As if he didn't care about this, he nodded. Fang Bing originally thought that this level had already passed. Unexpectedly, he was taken aback by the ancient sentence. It seems that Odin didn't lie to me. You really learned the spell of Karmatage. Odin? Fang Bing originally thought that he was discovered by Gui using spells, but I didn't expect it. He was actually targeted by Odin? Groove. Fang Bing's heart was cold. Previously feeding Thor and others in New Mexico. What worries him the most is Odin's old immortal staring at him. That's why I'm careful. Don't dare to meddle in the slightest. But I never expected to be noticed by Odin? Fang Bing asked a little nervously. Then what else did Odin say? Odin asked me if the brat who opened the portal 2 days ago and also affected his plans was the mage of Karmatage. Ancient mage glanced at him. Fang Bing was numb. Odin, this old thing, really didn't fall into Odin's sleep. Always peeping in Asgard. In particular, the strong people in this universe are the more capable they are, the more they like to peep. I told Odin that you are my disciple. Ancient big guy is awesome. The ancient big guy is an eternal god. He immediately thought of it. Since the ancient big guys told Odin that he was her disciple, doesn't that mean she wants to take herself? It's also good to go to Karmatage to learn spells. You can also feed the masters of Karmatage, by the way. Lest he always cut off his way of feeding Karmatage Faya from the source. Fang Bing immediately prepared to worship. From then on, he hugged Furuchi's long legs tightly. But before he could stand up, he came up with a set of authentic worship rituals. Furuchi glanced at him with a smile. I can't take you as an apprentice. You're not from this world. Fang Bing was stunned. So what are you doing here today? Tease me? I'm here for her. Episode 65. Hear the words of Gui. Sky, who was sitting on the side and was looking at the ancient mage intently, suddenly stunned. She didn't expect it. Furuchi actually came for her. Do you want to take her as an apprentice? Fang Bing was originally confused, but he quickly realized. This incident may have something to do with the meditation he taught Sky. Sure enough, Furuchi quickly spoke again and said, I saw you at Karmatage with the time gem, so I came. Sky was still confused, but Fang Bing already understood. Sure enough, he passed it on to Sky to meditate. She had magical energy. That's why Gui predicted that Sky would become a mage in the future. That's why I came to take her to Karmatage to practice. This completes the foreknowledge of the time gem. I'll be sure of Sky. Did you see me at Karmatage too? Fang Bing asked cheekily. Furuchi glanced at him lightly. Ignore him, because she had already said it to Fang Bing. He is not a man of this world. The time gem does not see his future, so you can't see him anywhere. He is in the future of the time gem deduction. It simply does not exist. Would you like to go? Furuchi looked at Sky again and asked softly. Fang Bing also looked at Sky encouragingly. He knew Sky had always wanted to learn magic, but he only taught her meditation, because he didn't give the ring to Sky. Not even the portal was taught. So I think Sky will happily agree. But Sky shook his head. I don't want to go. I just want to stay by Fang Bing's side. Fang Bing's heart suddenly warmed, but also anxious for her. This silly chick. What an opportunity. Hold the long legs of Ancient One. Cover her later. The earth is gone. You can't be gone. Furuchi also didn't understand Sky's decision. Obviously, she saw Sky appear at Karmatage in the future. Then she looked at Fang Bing, knowing that the bell must also be tied to the bell person. Really? Fang Bing began to persuade Sky. Are you stupid? You don't have to leave me. You can go to Karmatage to learn spells during the day and come back at night. Just like going to school. When you don't learn the portal, I can open the portal to pick you up. Then he also turned his head to look at the ancient mage who was twitching the corner of his mouth. Tion asked shamelessly, right? The ancient mage had a numb sentence in his heart. Do you and Karmatage is your kindergarten? Also left early and returned late. Pick up and drop off to school every day? But she doesn't have a choice now, because she hadn't told all the truth before. Sky is now more than just a common mage to Karmatage. If it was just an ordinary mage, it wasn't worth her running alone. The crux of the matter is, she was working with the time gem. Can't see Stephen Strange coming to Karmatage. She couldn't know what that meant. The future she had seen in the past had changed. Stephen Strange, that surgeon, he was supposed to have been in a car accident 6 years later and broke his wrist. As a result, it is no longer possible to go to the operating table for surgery. To repair hands, desperately ran to Kathmandu to find the existence of the mage. Finally successfully joined Karmatage and took over the position of Gui, become the next Earth Supreme Mage. But the other day, Furuchi again looks at the future through the time gem. Discover the future Supreme Mage who would have come to Karmatage 6 years later. It's gone. At that time, she broke out in a cold sweat. There is no next Supreme Mage. How can she fake her death and retire to the universe? When will you be able to live a retirement life where you sleep until you wake up naturally? So she quickly checked to see where something was abnormal. The result is in the future where the gem of time reveals. Discover a girl who should not have been in Karmatage. Sky. Although the future of this girl, it's still a little blurry and unclear. But things are already clear. There is no Steve the surgeon, but there was one more Sky. Then this girl should be her successor in the future. Future Earth Supreme Mage. So even if the snack given by Fang Bing last time has not been eaten, she also came on a special trip, just to bring back Sky, trained to be the next Supreme Mage. retire yourself successfully, and what Odin noticed, Fang Bing, and so on. In her opinion, they are all trivial things. It was just a small talk after she had finished talking with Odin. For Fang Bing's snack face, Furuchi casually covered for him, and Fang Bing learned this kind of thing as karmatage. She didn't really care. It is normal for Fang Bing to have some special abilities as an outsider, and what he learned was not some natural disaster black magic. Nothing to care about. Karmatage never restricts people's freedom. As long as you learn teleportation spells and complete Karmatage's spell practice on time, you can come and go freely. Actually, the mage of Karmatage, he is also tasked with guarding the 3 holy temples of the earth. Where is it as loose as the ancient one said? But now, in order to deceive the future supreme mage first, Gui can also be regarded as fighting. She felt, as long as Sky got into Karmatage, came into contact with the vast sea of spells, will definitely indulge in it. At that time, I am afraid that she will not practice seriously. The big guy who saw the ancient one also promised it himself. Fang Bing quickly continued to persuade Sky on the side. Although I don't want this girl, but keep her by her side. I don't have much means to improve her strength, and go to Karmatage to practice this kind of thing. It is estimated that people in the whole universe will be envious if they know it. If Guichi announces that Karmatage is recruiting trainee mages, Fang Bing felt that the person who lined up to sign up could directly expel the galaxy, for nothing else, just because the name of Supreme Mage Gui has long spread throughout the multiverse. Ultimately, Sky was comforted by Fang Bing and assured by a large pile, in the kind smile of the ancient mage, agreed to go to Karmatage to practice spells. As a condition, Furuchi also promised Sky, when she learns portals, she is allowed to do so at any time, but Fang Bing was still not allowed to go to Karmatage. The reason given by Furuchi is still that Fang Bing is not a person from this world, so he can't enter, but in fact she lied. Karmatage is just a separate space. Whether or not you can enter Karmatage has nothing to do with where Fang Bing came from. Gui just didn't want Fang Bing to go to Karmatage to wander around when he was idle, disturb the practice of your newly acquired disciples, talk about love every day, what spells to practice, talk about the future supreme mage gone, who protects the future earth, who will succeed her in the future. So she simply added a spell directly to Karmatage. Square Ice is separately prohibited from entering through the portal. Fortunately, Fang Bing doesn't know now. If only he knew. Definitely won't give Gui a snack again. Still craving a snack? Eat you. After everything is negotiated, Fang Bing cooked a sumptuous dinner for Sky at home. See her off. The big bulb of Gui also remained. Eat together. When you're ready to eat, take Sky and leave. Fang Bing didn't know why she was so anxious, but thinking about it, the supreme mage would not embarrass a little girl, so there is no need to worry about it. Finish eating. Fang Bing found a big sack. I started filling it with various snacks made by the gourmet maker, until 2 sacks were packed. Only then gave them to Sky. Tell Sky to eat a bag by herself. A bag was given to the mages of Karmatage. Initial enrollment. Have a good relationship with them. Sky has no doubt about it. Obediently took it. Gui saw that Fang Bing was finished tinkering. The portal was also cut, pulling Sky ready to go to Karmatage, but just as Sky was about to step through the portal, but she suddenly broke free from Furuchi's hand, ran back into Fang Bing's arms, held Fang Bing tightly, raised his head and closed his eyes. He came up. Fang Bing couldn't help but hug her, greeted it, reluctant to part for a long time. Until the beginning of ancient times, like the late stage of tuberculosis, he kept coughing and coughing. Sky blushed and let go of Fang Bing, following Furuchi on her path to her future supreme mage. Fang Bing stood in place. You can still smell the residual fragrance of Sky, because now I also know something about Ancient One. There are also their own people who have broken into the Karmatage interior. Fang Bing also had no scruples, thinking of Sky directly in his head. Attempts to cut open the portal to Sky's side with one hand. Sure enough, the portal could not be opened. Only then did he believe Gui's words. Episode 66. Sky left. He was the only one left in Noda's villa, but Fang Bing was also ready to continue to improve his strength. You can't live some time. Sky can wave his hand to summon meteorite heavens. One punch to the earth. I can't even beat her. At that time, it will depend on her cover. That's too humiliating for a man. Therefore, Fang Bing carefully thought about how to improve his strength in the future. First of all, meditation certainly can't stop. Meditation can enhance the cosmic energy for him and increase the intensity of his ability to transform matter. It can also enhance his healing powers. And there is. Although Gui refused to take himself as an apprentice, but wait for Sky to learn the spell. It is impossible for Gui to stop her from teaching, right? Until then, the effect of keeping your own meditation on your own daily can be felt. Secondly, I want to quickly improve my strength. At present, it still depends on the extraction capacity of the system, but for the time being, he couldn't think of anyone he could find to extract his ability. I can only go to the small animals. Thought about it for a long time. He still had no clue. Do you want to continue to go to the sea to search? That's one way to do it. The neurotoxins obtained last time were strong. Suddenly, Fang Bing patted his head. Since he does not have enough knowledge, can't think of a good way, so why not go and consult with a high IQ genius? Think of this. He waved his hand and opened the portal. Step in. Next second, he appeared in a luxurious villa, standing on a seaside cliff. Looking at the man and woman on the bed, they are humming and humming. Hey. Ooh. Fang Bing knew that he had come at the wrong time, turned around and slipped into the portal and left, but the trespass alarm system in the villa has sounded. Jarvis informed Iron Man on the bed. Fang Bing had just come. Then Fang Bing, who had just left not long ago. The phone rang. See the caller's name on your phone. Fang Bing didn't answer either. Another portal opened and returned to the villa just now. Sure enough, it was found that there was only Iron Man left in the villa. Can you knock on the door next time? You scared away all the girls. I just arrived. A look at Fang Bing appeared. Iron Man couldn't help but complain. Fang Bing apologized, but he still didn't plan to knock next time. Just ready to come to him next time. First use quantum induction to see if there is anyone around him. Come back when you don't. This way you don't have to appreciate Iron Man's superb athletic skills. The two also occasionally drank together during this time. The relationship is also relatively familiar. Iron Man walked to the bar of the villa, poured a glass of wine for Fang Bing. Poured myself a glass too. After taking a sip, he began to ask Fang Bing's intentions. If you could acquire special abilities from creatures and use them for yourself, what creatures would you choose to extract? Fang Bing also had no ink. Asked directly, he also doesn't worry about what his problems make Iron Man think more. After all, the system exists. Tell him yourself. He didn't necessarily believe it. What's more, Iron Man still owes himself a favor. Iron Man listened to Fang Bing ask this kind of online keyboard man battle will only ask questions. Can't help but laugh out loud. But Fang Bing really seriously asked him to answer this question. I answered without thinking. Viruses, bacteria, fungi, plants, animals are all living things. What do you mean by living things? If there is no limit, then I will definitely choose the virus directly, so that I can replicate, evolve, and multiply cells indefinitely, create living things, and become God. Stop. Fang Bing hurriedly stopped him from gushing. Even if he is confident in his food generator, I don't think this trait can make a delicacy that bacteria and fungi love to eat. But Iron Man's words just now also broadened his thinking. Plants are also living things. Does your own gourmet maker work for plants? But Fang Bing couldn't think of it. Even if you can get abilities from plants. And what do you get? Photosynthesis? Just talking about animals. If you could get the abilities in animals, which animal would you choose? Fang Bing continued to ask. Iron Man thought for a moment. Animals include vertebrates and invertebrates. Vertebrates are mostly mammals. Invertebrates are mostly insects. If I definitely choose insects, praying mantis is good. Maybe you can get a set of mantis fist kung fu from the praying mantis? Iron Man finished speaking, still holding a wine glass. Imitated kung fu movies and played a few tricks. Although Fang Bing felt that what Iron Man said about getting the mantis fist from the praying mantis was very nonsense. But he realized, I have always ignored insects, which are ubiquitous creatures. Ant, mantis, flea. These insects have special abilities. It's just that Fang Bing is not clear now. The food made by its own gourmet maker does not work for these insects. I thought about it for a while. A few more drinks with Iron Man. After that, ask him to give himself a bioprobe. Upgraded the hardware and database. This allows it to detect miniature organisms, including insects. He opened the portal and left Iron Man's seaside villa. When he reappears, it has reached the forest in the barren mountains. Fang Bing wore the biological probe on his wrist. Start searching in the woods. Soon the biological detector prompted Fang Bing. Found a nest of ants. Look at the hill-like ant nest in front of you. Fang Bing's heart began to get excited. This must not be tens of thousands of ants? If each one can provide itself with capabilities, wouldn't that transform into Superman in an instant? After the excitement, he began to inquire about what the ants like to eat. Ants love to eat plants. That's simple. Fang Bing summoned the food maker. Control with thoughts. A large plate of feed was made from plants. Then start talking about the food of these ants. Sprinkle evenly in ant nests. It didn't take long. The whole ant nest was like a riot. Ants are surging out. Quickly crawl towards the scattered food. They should have dragged the food back to the nest and ate it again. But the food made by gourmet makers is simply irresistible. Gnawing on the spot. The system also quickly read the list of ants' abilities. Ants. Homing LV7. This ant can always find its way home by recognizing the sun's polarized light. Ant language LV9. This ant can communicate with its own kind by emitting different chemicals. Ant power LV5. Special. This ant is very robust, and can use its special body structure and power skills to lift objects that exceed 200 times its own weight and drag items that exceed its own weight by 800 times. Nesting LV8. This ant has skilled nesting skills and can build ant nests quickly and well. Blind LV3. This ant has poor eyesight, can only see objects within 20 centimeters. When Fang Bing is finished feeding, in an instant, the list of abilities of thousands of ants refreshed his system. Fang Bing directly concentrated all the abilities. Finally, the ability contained in almost all ants was obtained. These abilities are basically useless to him. Only one fusion upgrade. The power of ants is not bad. Ant power LV10. Special. Fang Bing understood when he saw that the name of this skill had ants. Sure enough, there are not so many shortcuts to heaven in the world. The power of ants is also like the power of elephants that he first got in animals. Special abilities belonging to a species. Only fusion stacked to level 10. It cannot be constantly stacked. Feed yourself a litter of ants to kick Odin and punch Thanos, and because he does not have the special body structure of ants, resulting in the inability to obtain the full ant special abilities, the strongest ants can lift objects that exceed their weight by 400 times. You can also drag objects that exceed your body weight by 1700 times, but Fang Bing got the power of ants. It can only provide him with about less than 1/6 of the efficacy. Ant Force LV10. Special. You can lift items that exceed your weight by 60 times, and you can drag items that exceed your own weight by 200 times. Fang Bing's own weight is now 200 pounds. 200 pounds is not because he is fat, it's because he has a strong physique, so the body is dense, leads to weight gain, but the figure is still very fit. After gaining the power of ants, he had about 6 tons more pushing power, 20 tons of drag force. The power of this grade, probably equivalent to a Sith goddess of war, lift an off-road vehicle, push a heavy truck, convert it into divine power, probably the level of divine power LV2, and Fang Bing now has the divine power LV6. It has not yet met the requirements of convergence upgrade. The power of ants just added another power buff to his body. Fang Bing estimated that he would wait until he then obtained other types of power. It will also fuse into a higher level divine power like the power of the elephant and the power of the tiger at the beginning. All in all anyway, the trip was not bad. After all, feeding ants is a simple matter. In addition, Fang Bing also learned ant language. In lonely and boring times, you can talk to the queen ants and talk to the worker ants about 996. It's also a good ability, but then, he had other things to do. After all, there are so many other insects that need to be experimented on. Episode 67. After getting the power of the full level of ants from that nest of ants, Fang Bing went to find the other ants, because he thinks ants are also divided into types. Other ants may have somewhat different abilities. It turned out exactly as he had hoped, but it also disappointed him. Other species of ants do have other abilities. For example, some olfactory vision is better, but the power of the ants offered is all the same, so Fang Bing could only look for other insects. The biodetector in his hand was entered into the cockroach. Fang Bing began to continue searching in the forest, but after searching for half a day, I couldn't find where the cockroaches were. He felt he might be in the wrong place. Cockroaches should not be easy to find in the wild. Just as he was about to wander around the city to find some cockroaches, suddenly, the quantum sensing ability in his body, I felt an explosion of power. The location is far away. After Fang Bing thought a little, the cockroach search program was temporarily suspended. Open the portal and return home. Enter the Kuan-type fighter. Turn on invisibility and drive towards the place of the energy explosion. 3 hours later, he came to a remote hilly part of the Middle East. Find a place to stop the Kuan, and let it open in place and hide invisibly. The location of the abnormal energy explosion that Fang Bing sensed before was here. He began to carefully search for traces of the burst of supernatural energy, or the person who caused that burst of energy, but after looking for a long time nearby, I didn't find it, until he noticed people coming in and out under a cliff. Only then did I realize that there was a military base hidden underground. Fang Bing quietly approached the hidden entrance under the cliff. Use super hearing to lean down. Only mechanical sounds coming up and down the elevator can be heard. The underground base should also have a sound insulation layer. That's why he couldn't hear what was going on below. What the hell is it? But Fang Bing has already decided. This is not Jiaying's inhuman base afterlife. Because Jiaying did not have the energy to establish such an underground military base. But no matter who caused the outburst, Fang Bing was ready to go down and take a look. He needs to improve his strength. The quickest way to improve your strength is to find those with special abilities. Get back on the plane. Change into a night suit. Swipe the portal directly with one hand. After stepping in, the next moment appeared in the elevator in the base. He could only open the portal to where the super hearing could reach. There is a sound insulation layer underneath that cannot be heard, so teleporting directly into the elevator is also a shortcut. But there are others in the elevator at the moment. 2 guards with guns. See Fang Bing walking out of the portal. Without hesitation, the shot was fired. Large caliber automatic rifle. Suddenly, but only Fang Bing's night suit broke some holes. Sting. 2 currents flashed. 2 guards were knocked out directly. Fang Bing didn't kill them, because he doesn't yet know who this base really is. In case it's S.H.I.E.L.D. Isn't it that the water washed the Dragon King Temple? You must know that S.H.I.E.L.D. also has hundreds of secret military bases around the world. Remembered with the sound of gunfire in the elevator, rapid alarms began to sound throughout the military base. Before Fang Bing came out of the elevator, the gate at the exit of the base outside landed. The military base went into a state of blockade. A squad of guards also received the order. Assemble with guns. Rushed to the elevator exit. Soon, Fang Bing arrived inside the military base, by elevator. It may be that the sound insulation layer has passed. Didn't wait to get out of the elevator yet. He felt that he could already hear the movement outside. Listen to the phrase outside, "Long live Hydra." Then Fang Bing finally knew where he had come. A secret military base of Hydra. He suddenly lost his psychological burden. Hydra, 100 were shot with their eyes closed. None of them are innocent. Of course, he also probably knew who the person who released the burst of energy before was. The elevator doors opened. Fang Bing faced the rain of bullets. There were even shock grenades, howitzers out of the elevator, sparks all the way after lightning. The Hydra soldiers all fell to the ground. Fang Bing walked towards the target spot that had already been heard, but the base-based command room quickly discovered his purpose. The steel gate that controlled him fell down. down. Fang Bing didn't want to expose his identity in front of Hydra yet, because Hydra is too troublesome. 2 guards in the elevator just now. It had been solved after he discovered that this was Hydra's base. So as long as he doesn't use portals and matter transformations right now, Hydra's people should not be able to discover his true identity. That's why I say that. Because Fang Bing felt that the Hydra was lurking inside S.H.I.E.L.D. I should have known that it would open the portal. The magician who will turn the Queen fighter into a rose is himself. Since it is not prepared to use portals and matter transformations, that Fang Bing could only test which was harder, his fist or the steel gate in front of him. Bang, bang, bang. The half-meter thick gate cast in alloy began to deform. One by one, fist prints were recessed in the door. Frightened, a group of Hydra soldiers with guns behind the door shivered. Not knowing the truth, they couldn't help but wonder. On the other side of the door is not a terrifying monster. After 3 punches, the entire gate weighing several tons was flown away, knocked the Hydra soldier behind the door. They were smashed before they had time to react. Fang Bing didn't care about them. Keep walking towards your goal. Punches and kicks all the way. The guns were unharmed. No one can stop him. Fang Bing dares to be so arrogant now because the aliens in New York have not yet invaded. Earth forces such as Hydra have not yet obtained alien technological energy weapons. That's why it's hard to break his defense. Just like they are also very difficult to beat the abomination now. But if only after the Battle of New York. Fang Bing didn't dare to be so tough. The power of extraterrestrial energy weapons. It is many times stronger than the kinetic weapons on Earth now. Not to mention some bells and whistles of tech props. What annihilation bombs or something. Hydra's top manager inside the military base. Soon from the Fang Bing's travel route. Discover his true intentions. Quick, shift the experimental target. It must not be taken away by intruders, but it's too late. Before the newly sent Hydra soldiers moved away from the experimental target, Fang Bing had already violently broken through the gates all the way, came to the target location, saw the soldiers who were coming. Fang Bing pulled open the cell. Who are you? Did they come to save us? In the cell, a beautiful girl of 16 or 17 years old stayed next to an unconscious silver-haired boy. Looking at Fang Bing with his eyes wide open, he asked with some expectation. Fang Bing nodded. That's right, Wanda, I'm here to save you. Previously, when Fang Bing entered the interior of the base, he had already listened to the conversation of Hydra in the base. I learned who I was looking for, not alone, rather, two. Scarlet Witch Wanda, with her twin brother, Quicksilver Pietro. But Fang Bing didn't understand a little, because he seems to remember. Originally, Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were after the New York Alien War. Hydra gets Loki's scepter encrusted with the Mind Gem. Only then did they induce their abilities through the Mind Gem. Why are their powers bursting now? Why is Quicksilver Pietro in a coma? But he didn't have time to figure them out now. Now the first thing is to rescue the two from Hydra's base. Fang Bing smashed the camera in the cell. The portal was opened directly inside the cell, with Wanda picking up the unconscious Quicksilver and walking in. The other side of the portal opened inside the Queen fighter. Afterwards, Fang Bing set up a stealth Queen-type fighter and led the two all the way back to the villa. Returned to the villa a few hours later. Quicksilver Pietro still hasn't woken up. Fang Bing began to ask Wanda about the situation. After some inquiry, he figured out what was going on. Originally, the Wanda siblings live in Sokovia in Eastern Europe. There are families and parents. Then when Wanda was young, war broke out in Sokovia, destroyed their home, orphaned them. Since then, the siblings have been wandering in Sokovia, lived a homeless life. Until the other day, they were targeted by Hydra agents. He was captured from Sokovia to this military base. Perform anomalous experiments. Attempts to activate the powers in the Wanda siblings' bodies. But the experiment was not entirely successful, because Wanda was completely unresponsive. Her brother Pietro, on the other hand, accidentally activated his powers. Due to excessive speed, I can't control it at all. One hit the wall and passed out. Fang Bing knew this. It turned out that the explosion of energy that he sensed quantum. It was Pietro's paranormal awakening that erupted. And why did Quicksilver Pietro burst into powers now? Fang Bing guessed. Probably because he was originally a mutant. That's why you don't need psychic gems to get powers. And the ability of his sister Wanda. But it's chaos magic. It's not something that powers can explain at all. So only later, after being obtained by Hydra, after getting the Rocky Scepter, only then was the Infinity Stone successfully induced the chaos magic energy in his body. Episode 68. The villa that Fang Bing bought before was very large. Otherwise, it would be impossible to stop the Queen-type fighter on the roof. 2 floors above and below. Fang Bing and Sky had previously lived on the first floor. There are many empty rooms on the second floor. Wanda and Quicksilver were placed upstairs by him. As for why the two were rescued from Hydra, also brought back, the main purpose is, of course, to facilitate feeding them. Chaos magic of the Scarlet Witch. Cultivating to the depths, can be with the piano. Gray's Phoenix power is comparable, has the power to destroy the universe. Quicksilver's ultimate speed. Even Fang Bing didn't know how fast he could run. Fang Bing naturally couldn't let go of the opportunity to acquire these two abilities. Secondary reasons, of course. It was Fang Bing who also had some pity for what happened to this pair of twin siblings. Although he does not consider himself a good person, sometimes they often kill things that don't have long eyes. But in his last life, he was still a good student who received 9 years of compulsory education. He still has the morality that ordinary people should have. Quicksilver is still in a coma. Fang Bing's first task was naturally to to wake him up first. Go upstairs. Wanda is still guarding her brother's bedside, waiting for him to wake up. Saw Fang Bing come in. Quickly, stand up. He thanked Fang Bing with a serious face. Thank you so much. If you hadn't saved us, I really don't know what terrible things would have happened to that place. After Wanda finished speaking, he remembered that he still didn't know the name of his benefactor, and there are still a bunch of questions in mind. I couldn't help but ask again. Who are you? Where are we now? And do you know who is arresting us? Will they still come to us? Fang Bing looked at her restless look. I knew she hadn't come out of her panic yet. Of course, he also understands. After all, Wanda in front of her looks about the same age as Sky. Originally, the family was broken and the people died. Now he is still caught by Hydra with his brother and imprisoned in an underground base for experiments. This kind of thing cannot be easily forgotten by anyone. It's normal to leave a shadow in your heart. So Fang Bing patiently chatted with her. My name is Fang Bing. You are currently in my house. And the person who captured you is an evil organization called Hydra. Fang Bing simply answered Wanda's question. Also told her that she was safe now. Just look at her brother, who was lying unconscious on the bed. How is your brother? Do you need me to treat him? You're still a doctor? Wanda wondered why her brother hadn't woken up yet. Hearing Fang Bing's words, he quickly nodded like a chicken pecking rice. Fang Bing stepped forward, reaching out and applying healing energy towards the wound on Pietro's head. Because Pietro was still in a coma, there was no special reaction this time. Soon, the healing energy healed his injuries. Pietro slowly woke up from his coma. What is this place? When Pietro woke up, he saw Fang Bing and Wanda next to the bed for the first time. Asked with a wary look, Wanda quickly explained to him that Fang Bing had rescued them. Pietro was relieved. His previous encounter at the underground base frightened him. I learned that I had come to New York. Finally left that place of Sokovia chaos. They also fled from the evil organizations that used them for experiments. It really felt as if I had suddenly arrived from hell to heaven. 2 days later, the Wanda siblings have eased up, adapted to the new environment. Fang Bing was not in a hurry to feed them food from the gourmet maker now, because Wanda hasn't awakened chaos magic at all. Now the extraction is purely a waste of the first opportunity to gain 100% ability. Fang Bing remembered. Under normal circumstances, Loki will come to Earth 2 years later with Charita's army. Of course, he will also carry the scepter encrusted with the heart gem. So if you want to get chaos magic, then you need to take Loki's scepter, used to help Wanda awaken ability. Only then can he extract her abilities. And Wanda's younger brother, Quicksilver Pietro, although now it seems to have awakened super speed powers, but he has not mastered it at all. As soon as you use it, you hit the wall, and it's not particularly fast. Fang Bing felt that now was not the time to extract his abilities, because now even if he draws his speed-related abilities, I'm afraid it's also the lowest. You have to practice slowly and improve slowly when you get it. Fang Bing as a lying youth. Of course, he chose to let Quicksilver practice by himself first. Wait for him to practice his abilities. At the very least, I cannot hit the wall. Then directly extract and copy the same level as him. What is this called? This is called DD Superpower Training. So for later, Fang Bing asked Iron Man to help the two get their legal identities. As for why not look for S.H.I.E.L.D., not looking for a bald director? Because Hydra is tracking down the whereabouts of the Wanda siblings. S.H.I.E.L.D. has long been infiltrated all over the place. After World War II that year, S.H.I.E.L.D. ostensibly destroyed Hydra, and then for the rapid development of science and technology, don't waste those Hydra scientists. The Paperclip program began, the so-called Paperclip program. It is to recruit Hydra scientists who do not have too much blood on their hands to work in S.H.I.E.L.D. The plan is of course well-intentioned, because the people who carried out this plan thought that Hydra's armed forces were all destroyed. These scientists are also only available to S.H.I.E.L.D. It is impossible to turn over any waves, but then it developed over time. These Hydra scientists, headed by Dr. Zola, gradually, it took root within S.H.I.E.L.D., gradually corroded the corners of S.H.I.E.L.D. Since then, Hydra reborn from within S.H.I.E.L.D. When Fang Bing asked Iron Man to solve the identity problem of the two people, although Iron Man was a little surprised, but I didn't ask anything, and I directly let my subordinates do it for me. This kind of thing is for the huge Stark Industries group. It's nothing to mention. That's it. Wanda and her brother Pietro stayed at Fang Bing's house. The two are old enough to graduate from high school, but before Sokovia wandering, being able to eat enough was already a good life. Going to school is even more out of reach. But when Fang Bing offered to let them go to school again, Wanda didn't want to go at all. Pietro, on the other hand, was the opposite of his sister. I yearn for a long-lost school life. So Fang Bing arranged for Pietro to enter Midtown High School. That is, the high school where Fang Bing and Sky, as well as Daredevil, all went to before. And Wanda stayed at home, watch TV, snack and play games every day. Become the ultimate otaku girl. Lit the look that Fang Bing yearned for the most in his life. If it weren't for Fang Bing's money, it was as much as dirt on earth. Otherwise, it's time for her to go out to work, to earn money and pay rent. Another few days passed. At night, when Pietro came home from school, Fang Bing felt that he should discuss with Pietro about exercising his powers. He pulled Pietro and Wanda to sit on the couch. Pietro, do you remember the superpowers you got earlier when you were in the underground base? Upon hearing Fang Bing, he mentioned that terrifying underground base again. He couldn't help but think of those days of captivity again. A look of fear appeared on his face. You mean the superpower that caused me to crash into a wall and fall unconscious? You call that superpower? It's a nightmare, okay? Pietro said with an ugly look, dismissive of Fang Bing's claims of superpowers. He even believes that it was because of his strange abilities that led to his and Wanda's kidnapping. So these days after being rescued, never tried that ability again, not to mention exercise. This is also the reason why Fang Bing asked Pietro to talk seriously. As a substitute trainer, you are still lazy? How can he be lazy when Pietro is lazy? Fang Bing was not in a hurry to explain to him. Instead, he took out his phone in front of Pietro. Stretch out your finger to discharge an electric current. Boom. Start charging your phone. How did you do it? Pietro almost jumped 3 feet tall at the scene and asked excitedly. He hadn't seen Fang Bing open the portal to save him. And Wanda, because he no longer wants to remember his days at the Hydra underground base. I didn't tell him what happened, so he now sees Fang Bing. It's amazing that you can emit thunderbolt-like electricity with your hands. You can understand this as my superpower, and this magical superpower you also have. But you need to keep practicing to become strong. Fang Bing was kind to the substitute trainer. Pietro was skeptical. Your superpowers are very powerful, and if you can master them, you can easily deal with the Hydra people and protect your sister. Pietro's heart immediately warmed up when he heard this. Experienced so much. What did he expect? It is to protect the safety of my sister Wanda. It will allow them to live a stable life from now on. Now I know that I have the power to protect my sister. Has the ability to resist the bad guys. As a high school teenager, he was moved. So what should I do? How to exercise? Young Pietro was so easily convinced. Fang Bing smiled inexplicably when he heard this. Don't worry, I have already developed a training plan tailored for you. Episode 69. What? What are you talking about as a training plan that runs every day? Pietro asked with a question mark on his face. That's right, your ability is to run fast, so you need to practice running first. You can run at normal speed, and you can turn on super speed to not fall. Fang Bing said seriously. This training plan is actually made up by him. Whether it works or not, the ghost does not know, but now he has no other way. Let Pietro run 10 kilometers every night and try it. Even if it doesn't work, running more can also exercise the body, which is good for good health. No problem. Plan pass. Want to protect your sister? Want to have powerful superpowers? Run, boy, inspired by Fang Bing's shout. Encouraged, Pietro swooped out of the villa. Circle after circle around the block, began his superpower training career. Why do I always think you're teasing him? Wanda poked her head out of the door and looked at her brother, who had run away. A little suspicious, he turned his head towards Fang Bing and asked. Without waiting for Fang Bing to speak, she continued to talk to herself. But it's always right to run more. Do I have superpowers too? Can you also make a training plan for me? Fang Bing looked at Wanda. It feels like she really deserves to be the future Scarlet Witch. People who can control chaos magic really can't have a low IQ. See the real situation at a glance. You also have special abilities in your body and are more powerful than your brother, but you can't activate them now before the time comes. Since Wanda asked, Fang Bing also felt that there was nothing to hide. Just tell her directly. Are you saving us for our superpowers? Wanda finally asked the question she had kept in her heart for days. That was why Fang Bing saved them. And why did they take them in? The one who saved them. Is it the same idea as the people who experimented with them before? Pietro, as a younger brother, can have no heart and no lungs. But Wanda as an older sister. He wandered around Sokovia with his younger brother for several years. If it's just a silly white sweet, I don't know which stinking gutter I died in with my brother for a long time. Since Wanda came to Fang Bing's house, have been observing him for several days, until I feel that I know something about Fang Bing. Only then did I muster the courage to ask this question. Yes, the words that Fang Bing opened his mouth to say made Wanda's heart cold. But then, Fang Bing looked into Wanda's eyes. He continued seriously, although I found you and saved you because you have superpowers, I will not hurt you. On the contrary, I will help you gain strength strong enough to protect yourself. Do you trust me? Wanda nodded. She believed it. She originally just had questions in her heart. If you don't believe Fang Bing, I didn't dare to ask him this question. Instead, he had already secretly left with his younger brother. Karmatage. In another space independent of the Earth, Sky followed Guy to this ancient mage's land. It was directly taken into the quiet room by Gui. Use out-of-body determination. Take her on a quick journey through the multiverse. Take in the thrill of the multiverse. Be aware of threats from the multiverse and beyond. This is also when each supreme mage cultivates successors. The first thing to do. The journey of the multiverse is fleeting, but days passed in the blink of an eye. Sky came to his senses under the guidance of Gui. See clearly? These are the threats you will face later. Fiorucci smiled and looked at Sky, who was sitting across from him, and said, when the supreme mage is inherited, why let the successor see this? It is to give the successor a sense of crisis, a sense of responsibility, and then practice spells well. Now Gui let Sky finish reading. I think she should be able to practice well. Well, I see it. Sky replied with a serious face. Gu nodded. Prepare for this, and start assigning her full study tasks. Train her to the level where she can take over as soon as possible. Then when did you teach me about portals? You promised to let me go back when I learned portals. Although Sky found what Gui saw her very exciting and dangerous, But Furuuchi didn't tell her about succeeding the Supreme Mage. She felt that since Karmatage had so many powerful mages there, where to worry about her. When the sky falls, there is also an ancient one on top. Her main concern now is to learn the portal as soon as possible. In this way, you can go back to be with Fang Bing at any time. Hearing Sky's dead-hearted question, Gui rolled his eyes in his heart. That guy is so magical? To go back and see him. You don't even care about the destruction of the universe? Gui is not a supreme mage. In the blink of an eye, a brilliant countermeasure was come up. She coughed. He said seriously, portals are advanced spells involving space and time, and you need to learn all the basic spells before you can practice. Where did Sky know that portals are Karmatage's most introductory spells? It only takes a suspense to learn quickly. She heard Furuuchi's words. It also seems to make some sense. I was stunned. Then it was arranged by Gui. I lived in a separate dormitory next to the Gaijingfu. In order not to let Sky come into contact with Kamatage other mages, learn the truth about portal spells. Furuuchi also prevented the other mages from coming to Sky's side. Only librarians were arranged. That fat Dun King mage. On weekdays, Fang Bing Sky borrows spell books. Of course, spell texts about portals, already hidden. The reason was that Skydius was not enough to borrow it. Under a set of serial operations by the ancient mage, Sky finally practiced the basic spell with peace of mind. Until a few days after practice, she was eating a snack. I remembered the words that Fang Bing had told her before leaving. He pulled out a bag of spicy strips from the sack under the bed in the dormitory and walked into the library. Wang, this is a native product I brought from home. Do you want to eat it? Sky handed Lao Wang the spicy strip with the word Wei Long printed on the package. Lao Wang was originally carefully reading the spell texts. Here's Sky's words. Turn your head and look. Good guy, it's really a souvenir. Is your hometown still from Ernan? Cheerfully took the spicy strips, skillfully tear open the bag, ate with a look of enjoyment. A minute later, Lao Wang looked strangely rummaging through the empty plastic bag on his hand. Sky, where did you buy your spicy strips? How is it not a taste with what I eat in my hometown? Congratulations on obtaining spell space LV3. Fang Bing, who was meditating, was suddenly awakened by the mechanical sound of the system. At first, when he heard the system prompt, I thought that the fat cat raised by little Peter provided him with abilities again. But when you see the name of the acquired ability, he immediately realized that he had guessed wrong. The next thought was to kiss Sky hard. It's still my Sky baby. Fang Bing couldn't help but praise. Sky has been going to Karmatage for some days. However, the system has not been reminded of the prompt to get the list of abilities. He had wondered if Sky's snacks had also been snatched away by Gui's old man who loved to eat alone. Fang Bing looked at the spell he had just obtained. Spell space LV3, you can use spell energy to carve out a separate space that belongs to you. Storage rings. Fang Bing's first thought was this thing, and it's a carry-on storage space that doesn't require a ring. He couldn't help but want to try it right away. The system extracts copies to the back of the spell. The principles of spells and the use of spells in the spell space were all instilled in his mind. He began to create his own alien space according to the law. Threads of mage energy intertwined between the fingers of both hands. Soon the decision was completed. The opening of different spaces is completed. Fang Bing sensed it. It's about 50 cubic meters in size. Putting away items only requires meditation. It can be deposited and withdrawn out of thin air anytime, anywhere. Fang Bing instantly thought of many usages. With this alien space, he doesn't have to make food on site every time he needs to feed. It can be manufactured in advance and stored in a different space. And when needed, take it out at any time. And in the other space, although time is still passing, but in a vacuum, it can greatly extend the shelf life of food. Of course, a carry-on storage space does much more than that. Fang Bing felt that he had it. Whatever you do, it's a lot easier. If a little bigger, it's better to put the Kuan-type fighter into it. After testing the effects of different spaces, Fang Bing even began to think about it. Do you want to go to Iron Man and ask for a copy of Big Ivan's manufacturing technology? Research and understand it yourself. You can use the material conversion and rub Big Ivan with your hands. After rubbing, put it in a different space. When encountering strong enemies, it is impossible to defeat it. You can take one out from under your crotch at any time to bluff people. It's a beautiful picture to think about. Episode 70. Fang Bing finished extracting the ability. I looked at the record again, only to learn that Sky had originally found the old king mage to feed. A rough glance at Lao Wang's list of abilities. Much shorter than the ancient one, but it still has many powerful capabilities. After all, Lao Wang is the librarian of Karmatage. Karmatage's magic code he can almost read and learn. Now Fang Bing only wanted Sky to give some strength. Feed Lao Wang a few more times, or send more snacks to other masters. After meditation is interrupted, Fang Bing didn't bother to continue. He remembered the cockroaches he had found last time. He hadn't found half of them. Simply decided not to sleep tonight. Go to the city to catch cockroaches. Look at this creature that lives in a dirty environment. What abilities can you bring to yourself? Think of this. Fang Bing put on the biological detector, cut open the portal with one hand, directly in the dirtiest, messiest, and worst areas of New York, Hell's Kitchen. After Fang Bing walked out of the portal, already came to an uninhabited alley. just walked out the next second. The biological detector began to buzz. Sure enough, it's Hell's Kitchen. It's cockroaches everywhere. Fang Bing followed the guidance of the biological probe. I came to a trash can. Pinching his nose, he lifted the lid. With his supervision of Class 3, at a glance, dozens of cockroaches in the barrel were seen. What cockroaches eat? Fang Bing does not need to think about it. Summon the food generator. It's like a lump of corns. The raw material is cockroach food made of starch and sugar. After quickly throwing it in the trash, I closed the lid of the bucket. Then just wait for the cockroaches to finish eating. Really, half a minute passed. The system sent a dense mechanical tone. Hint: Fang Bing has extracted the ability list of these dozens of cockroaches. Cockroach. Asexual reproduction. Even if it can't meet male cockroaches in its lifetime, it can magically make itself successfully pregnant and regenerate a bunch of female cockroaches. And the descendants are endless. Insect Keeper. Special, it has the superpower to breed the virus Trichomonas on the body, infecting anyone who wants to slap it to death with their own hands. Extreme resistance LV6, it can survive for 2 months without eating or drinking, can survive headlessly for 8 days, its antibacterial and antitoxic ability is extremely strong, and even able to resist nuclear radiation. Fear of light LV7, it is extremely afraid of light and lives forever in humidity and darkness. Wings gliding LV1, it can use its wings to glide and fly a short distance. After extracting the ability of dozens of cockroaches at once, Fang Bing quickly directly disabled other abilities, besides extreme resistance, because he senses the cockroach's other abilities. In addition to being weird is disgusting. Dozens of cockroaches also contributed 4 LV6 extreme resistance to Fang Bing. After the fusion upgrade, Fang Bing obtained extreme resistance LV8, but he didn't stop, because cockroaches, such disgusting creatures, are literally everywhere in Hell's Kitchen. It's not hard at all to brush up on extreme resistant LV10. Next, Fang Bing began his road to rummaging through the garbage cans. It took him half an hour. After rummaging through 8 trash cans, finally got together the extreme resistance LV6 needed for the upgrade. Convergence upgrades got extreme resistance LV10. You can survive in a variety of extreme environments, whether it is extreme cold or vacuum. You have a fairly strong ability to survive. Nuclear radiation, ionizing radiation is useless to you. Get this ability of Fang Bing. It feels like nothing else. What starvation? It's hot and cold. It only further enhanced the resistance of his own super physique. Originally, he had developed a strong resistance to these environments. Now it's just the icing on the cake. Moreover, he has a food generator that can make food out of thin air anytime, anywhere, even less likely to starve. The only thing that interested him was the resistance to nuclear radiation and ionizing radiation. With this ability, it just works with the spell space he just acquired. Encounter strong enemies. Big Ivan was pulled out under the crotch. No more worrying about radiation harming you. Now Fang Bing is really ready to find Iron Man to learn Big Ivan's manufacturing technology. After the event of extracting cockroach abilities, Fang Bing didn't plan to go back yet. Since he came to Hell's Kitchen, he just remembered that there was one more thing to do. Hell's Kitchen in the penthouse bedroom of a mansion. An orange-yellow portal suddenly appeared. Fang Bing walked out of it. Then, Wilson asleep in bed. Fisker suddenly woke up. Raising his hand, he touched the pistol under the pillow, ready to shoot. But when he saw the orange-yellow portal at the head of the bed, immediately threw the gun to the floor. Show yourself that you are not hostile. What are your orders for this coming, Dearson? SK bowed his head and asked respectfully. It had been more than 2 months since he submitted to this invulnerable magician. More than 2 months. He did not receive any instructions about the magician, nor did I ask him for a penny to do something. Wilson even thought that the magician would not appear again. Until tonight, he saw the mysterious magician again. Although if there is a way to deal with this person who gave him shame, he will definitely chop it into meat sauce with his own hands and feed it to the dogs. But now he couldn't find a way. On the surface, he did not dare to snub, because the terrifying strength of the magician was still firmly imprinted in his mind. Get a map. Wilson heard the command. I quickly walked to my desk and took out a map of New York City. Fang Bing took the map. After looking at it, point to an area, circled. I need you to buy this land and transfer it to my name and move all the residents on it. There is no upper limit on the cost of resettlement until they are willing to move. Fang Bing pulled down his mask, revealed his true face to Wilson. In front of Fisk, he is now completely unafraid that the other party will know his identity. This is the confidence that his own strength brings him. Dearson. Fisker suddenly saw Fang Bing's true face, only to discover the magician to whom he has always surrendered. It turned out to be So Young. A trace of unwillingness flashed in his heart, but he didn't dare to show anything on his face. Dear Master, your plan requires a lot of money, and my funds are not enough to do this perfectly. Dearson. Fisker said in horror. He was telling the truth. Although he is the underground emperor of New York, the gangster boss, but demolish the entire area. Not only did it cost hundreds of millions of dollars to buy the land, there is also a huge amount of compensation for each family in the area who rises to the apartment building. This is beyond his capabilities, unless Fang Bing allowed him to use force to coerce those residents. Otherwise, with his liquidity, this cannot be done. Fang Bing smiled. He knew Wilson. Fisker wasn't lying, because if you don't come to the door yourself, the Hand Association will also find Wilson to cooperate later. Let him do the same. Dearson at that time. Fisker is also underfunded. Only then did they threaten the residents to forcibly evict. It attracted Daredevil's intervention. Finally in Luke Cage, Tekken, Jessica. Blocked by the Defenders League of Jones and Daredevil, falling short. You don't have to worry about the funding thing at all. I can solve it for you now. Fang Bing finished lightly, directly pressed his hand on the bed of Wilson Fisk. In an instant, that plush big bed turned into pure gold. Includes the original bed linen, futon pillows above. It's all pure gold. Even if Wilson is an underworld boss who came out of the Corpse Mountain and the Sea of Blood, at the moment, I was also stunned. He quickly stepped forward and touched the golden bed. He tried to weigh the weight with his hands, to be convinced. The big bed where I fell asleep a few minutes ago, it really turned into a bed of pure gold. How many tons is this gold bed? This young magician in front of him would actually turn stones into gold? This makes Wilson. Fisk couldn't help but wonder, is the magician in front of him really as young as he seems? Fang Bing did not manage Weyerson Fisk's small gestures. Instead, he continued to take 2 steps forward. The dining table, bar, sofa, and wardrobe in the luxury villa are all turned into gold. Only then did he turn his head, asked lightly, is it enough, Weyerson? Fisker looked at his villa that had become resplendent in a short time. Some are speechless. I can only nod my head repeatedly. Do this well, and I can give you eternal life. Fang Bing dropped a sentence, leaving behind a lost soul of Wilson Fisk. Open the portal and leave. Eternal life, Weyerson. Fisker thought of Fang Bing's youthful face. There was a sudden burst of heat in my heart. Fang Bing did not deceive Wilson Fisk. If he did it for himself, give him eternal life. It's just casual.